of the detail of what we're going to do. Right. So
No.
yeah, so vision is like single platform that everyone in a company can use, right? But like, I think another way to think about it is that vision could have been something else. It could have been VR tools. It could have been, there's like other ways to achieve that mission. And so maybe that's another way to like think about it.
I agree 100% with what Chris said. And actually, the only thing I wanted to write here before the call, before seeing his comment, was that I don't think the product team really needs a mission statement. On the other hand, I think that our vision statements are super weak on most of our category pages and on stage pages and every level except GitLab level, I would say. Because saying that we want to be the market leaders in market X is not really a vision statement.
Yeah.
It's wishful thinking or something. No. So, and we should probably just work way more on vision statements. I actually skipped vision line in the doc, so I don't know what's written there.
So like, let's just take the monitor one, for example. Right now, the monitor vision statement is, our vision is to make every GitLab project observable by default with monitoring tools that is easy to operate without specialized expert skills. Teams can connect the dots between every deployment incident and other noteworthy events using and collaborating with telemetry data, which ultimately decreases the frequency and severity of production issues.
It's a bit too concrete to me, the end, but it's way better than any of my vision lines.
Can you explain what do you mean by too concrete?
The final part is like that, and all these things are going like this.
Oh, too
we
specific.
Are connecting the dots. So that was what I just. But this is one of the first vision statements I've seen at a category level, so it's great.
Alana, you had a plus 0.75.
I was going to go back to that. I'm curious why.
Yeah, I think
I love that, by the way.
well, I was hoping, I was like, maybe I recently was Alan, and then I realized like product team needs a mission statement. I do think it can be important because the vision can change and kind of take shape over time. But I think the mission is kind of that true north that kind of anchors everything, even at a category or at a stage level. So like a mission for monitor could be users know what's going on and can resolve their.
So the reason I asked this question is I explicitly called out monitor stage's mission in the past. And to me, the mission is to decrease the frequency and severity of incidents. So make it not happen. And then when it does happen, it's easy to deal with.
Yeah. But we have that called out. We have that called out in the.
So I just rolled it into the vision.
Right. Okay.
But
I'm thinking what you said, and I would say that I could agree with that at this stage level, but not at the category level.
Yeah.
Because at the category, it's really when you pivot, you make you keep your mission, but you change a category. Actually, that's at the category level. That's what a pivot is, and for that reason, I don't think it makes much sense at the category level. But it might make sense at this stage. I accept that.
especially in a company like GitLab, where each stage is like industries.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, I think think that makes, I don't disagree. I think, yeah, especially given our domains are really large. I think I wonder if it's also a good exercise to like figure out how to connect it to the company mission too, in a way. So, because I guess, I think if you have a large company, like I think that probably a concern is if you have a large company and you have each team has a mission statement, like you kind of have things are disconnected. And that would probably not be like the most valuable. But so I wonder, like, if we want, if we want to have mission statements for stages, probably a good thing to think about. If that makes sense.
Does make sense.
Cool.
Awesome. All right, moving on. So all three of you experience this. You have a lot of categories and you have a stage direction page as well. Many of these pages get stale, especially the really full pages. There were some pages like the metrics page was like, I don't know, hundreds of lines. And it's problematic because the content gets stale and out of date. And they're actually really, really difficult to update. So I am of the opinion that less is more, it's better. And it also affords us a better chance to keep things fresh, wherever fresh. So what are the must-have content at the category level? Because we have, each of you have like 7 to 8 categories you're maintaining. You certainly don't have time to be updating them every single month.
The question is, I understand it's hard to understand without me explaining what I mean by what would you like us to focus on, as you asked about categories. But like, do you think the category is the most important, or of this stage group category? Or
good question. I think actually more users are probably likely to read the stage level. I don't know. I don't have the data, but when I look at yours, when Kenny and Noop and those people look at our stuff, they start at the stage level. But like in your case, they might go to like Kubernetes management.
They don't care about anything else, just the Kubernetes management. Yeah.
But for Alana, certainly I know it's less true now, but when I was working with Sarah and Dove, like the monitor stage is like the meat of more of the things that we were talking about. So it may be a chicken and egg thing. Not sure. And what Tim has done is instead of having separate category pages, he just has headers within a single stage group direction page.
I was thinking about that. Like, actually, you asked me this a few months ago if I would like to have just a single direction page. And the thing is that simply the configure categories are independent of each other. So it's not like package that npm package, content package, whatever package, but it's like, this is for Kubernetes, this is for Terraform. And in a sense, these are, I'm speaking about technologies, which I shouldn't, because it's about container orchestration and infrastructure as code, but actually they are still independent. So that's why I think it doesn't work always to get rid of the categories. It would be great to have fewer pages to maintain.
Yeah, I consider that too. And that's why I was like, okay, if we have a bunch of category pages, what do we need? And then not touch it again, particularly if we're not focused on the categories. Because some of the content, it's either too much or too little. Because like some of the category pages, like basically no direction at all. Um,
Yeah.
I think so. For one of my categories that I've been really focused on, incident management, there's a lot of content in there. So I don't know that putting that all into the monitor page, it'd be so big. It would make
Yeah.
the stage page so huge.
and we don't want that either, because if the page becomes too long, it's like, it's not a good experience for the
Like
reader.
bedtime reading. Yeah.
You have the same problem. Like, it's not like different package managers. It's very different things. Victor, you want to verbalize your proposal and why
Yeah.
these are the necessary things?
Sure. I actually put it here because I just realized that we are just discussing topics and to make it more actionable. So it's up for discussion, like request for comments. I looked at the pages that I am happy with and realized that neither of them follow exactly this structure, but this is what I would still suggest, because this is the closest that I see that when they don't follow it, it's an error on my end. So there's one more section that I missed. Give me a sec. Somewhere like here, market overview. And there are things that I did not add, like top customer issues, top internal issues, top user issues. I have inherited such headers, but I never had anything under them. There's as well an analyst landscape for some of my categories, but often there isn't anything to be added. On the other hand, when it is, then I can add the content I can add the links in the text, and I don't have to call out as a separate section, I think.
And then a few controversial. Going back to what we should include, vision, overview of the market, to me are absolutely critical. With Chris, Alana, I imagine you agree with that as well. Cool. Strategy. What do you like? What strategy sometimes can take many different forms depending on the page. Okay. Victor, what's your take on, like, what is the content in the strategy, or is the points the content?
The point, so it's like, to me, strategy means how we want to tackle
The problem.
more than a problem, more like this direction. So what we already foresee, what do we want to take, and not as the next steps, not like in a chess play that these are the next steps, but you foresee 15 steps in chess. In that case, that's the strategy. That's where strategy starts. It doesn't start as a single step. So, and I'm not such a good chess player to foresee 15 steps, and as a result, strategy can have actually many ideas. There are things that in Kubernetes, on the Kubernetes page we have that is something like principles somewhere. I overwrote that approach. We have an approach section that actually describes our principles given the huge cloud native community. And that's part of strategy, actually. We know that we want to be really good citizens in the cloud native community. We don't want to bully them and so on. We want to build on existing tool sets, etc. So that's part of the strategy. But this is more of a principle level. But then if you go lower, that means that there are things like, first we are going to serve, sorry, I'm getting tired. First, we are going to serve expert users, and later on we move to other users. We are building out a foundational layer with the agent that we can build other layers on top of, and so on. So this is the strategy aspect. And then I break it down in two dimensions. One is by pricing, which as with the agent, we found a nice pricing model, and that makes it clear. The same happens with infrastructure as code. There we have as well an idea how we want to approach pricing, so I can describe it clearly. And it's not something that it's not an afterthought, what I experienced on many issues when I joined GitLab. And the other dimension is the time dimension, and I really like the Alana's take with this today, next 6 months, next 12 months. I think that's kind of right level. For the today aspect, I would mention, I might even mention specific issues, but we can just describe teams if that's okay. Or we can just link to a board that this is where the issues are. We are working on them today. Yeah.
It does. So I added a comment. I don't like, so if we have the strategy and we have the target user, the frequency of, not making sure that these are updated would be still pretty frequently based on Chris's comment. Yeah, okay.
So I agree with Chris here that it's still a monthly update. Just, basically you just have to update that section most of the time.
So where I would push back on it being absolutely necessary on all pages, I don't think so. I think it's necessary for the things you're actively working on. But for, say, like chat ops, or I don't know what the category we're not paying attention to, this level of detail will be just painful.
Yeah, I understand, and I would say that I agree. The thing is that for secrets management, I managed to create one. Just there, I don't say it today. I just say that current position, we don't do anything, and once we start, then this would be the thing. I have a question to all of you here, primarily, I mean, Chris and Alana primarily, like, do you have maturity plans for your categories?
I don't, but I should.
I only do for the categories that I'm actively working on, which is right now on-call schedule management and incident management.
And by that, like how detailed that maturity plans? Like, that if all these issues are done, then you want to run validation, or it's more?
It's something I've been working on with my designer, Amelia, but the actual epic issue isn't super detailed, but we've outlined the things that we have on the roadmap to kind of go through that retest, at least for the next maturity plan. So it's not that, or the next stage of maturity. So it's not necessarily what is everything we need for lovable. We have some of that pushed off. We don't think it's going to be for complete, but we have some of them outlined, knowing that it will massage into place over time. So I would go with a general idea, and I can show you if that will be helpful.
Yeah, especially as you mentioned, it's an epic. So it means that you organize all your issues under a maturity epic.
Yeah. So let me show you what I have. So this is the complete maturity plan for incident management.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot has been done. A lot has been done already. But what I've done is, okay, what are we doing to follow up for incidents and alerts? And then everything is nested under here. in the actual description, we talk about like what is essentially the vision at this level of maturity for these different things. And like this one I've checked off because it's done.
Cool.
Yeah,
my issue is that I've seen this organization a few times, but actually I don't have maturity plans such organized, because I like simply my epics just are way more dispersed, and I struggle having a maturity plan that is so clear to follow.
And I mean, I'll say that with like, it's constantly being worked and reworked. It's not like a list of like, if we get these things done, it's like, okay, we just did this research or this validation, or we just got this feedback, and it's like, how are we massaging things? I think you may have also seen,
I might use a label.
I also have like quarterly epics that I'm hoping that we can accomplish. And then more recently with Amelia, we're working on that UX roadmap, which I think is still really relatively new, just from like the design side of things, but it's kind of helping me see like, okay, how can we get ahead with designs? So that way we're feeding into this additional level of maturity. I'm trying to pull that up right now so I can just show you, because I don't think I'm doing it the best justice. So
I have a question while you put that up.
Yeah.
So the organization under Epic per maturity plan makes sense to me, but how does it show up in a direction page? Is this simply a link to the Epic in the direction page?
what I've done is not necessarily what is the maturity plan as a specific header, but I've called some of those things out in the strategy that I have for similar to what Viktor has called out, or like today, next 6 months, next 12 months, next 2 years. And I'm referencing like, hey, we're working towards bringing this maturity to complete. And that's I bake it into the part of the strategy. So just to give you a glimpse of what I've been working on with Amelia is, this is the UX roadmap. So that we're staying like a little bit ahead of what engineering is working on. We have 2 categories for incident management from viable to complete, and then on-call schedules. I think I guess I need to call that out a little bit better. From minimal to viable. And then we have like now, next, and future. So, and these are like the design themes that are targeted for these different levels of maturity. And then we'll go ahead and retest with users to see if we've met those once these features are complete. Go ahead and also drop this link in.
Yep.
Cool. And along those same lines, to include roadmap in the direction page, people don't generally use GitLab roadmap.
Yeah.
So there's no links to just like drop them. But then to write out roadmap, to me, that bleeds into very heavy to maintain territory really quickly.
I thought about linking. That's a fair point. And it's nightmare to use the GitLab Epic roadmap.
Yeah, it does seem like a lot of manual maintenance,
Yeah.
especially when you're trying to put things onto boards and determine your strategy, and then also manage your epics and manage all the issues that are included within the epics, and then make sure that also aligns with what you have planned for the milestone. is fairly manual. That's why I think why I've leaned so heavily just on that strategy piece.
I like the what's next, and maybe as an alternative, the what's next and why, like
Yeah.
the bullets of features. Like at minimum, I like doing that. And that's given also the frequency, like we update it every month, so that constantly, it's like it changes. It's pretty dynamic. So I think that one makes sense.
It's like the what's next and why, isn't that the today section? Or
I think today's section is more describing the situation that
Current,
exists
yeah.
right now.
current
Whereas
situation.
what's next is more tactical. It's like, hey, we're going to be adding this blah, blah, blah.
okay.
Cool. So we have 5 minutes left. There is anything else meaty you want to jump into before we break?
Do we call this a decision that then this is what we should follow? Or
I think this is a pretty good starting point. As a follow-up, I can create an issue and with some checkboxes on our categories, and then list this out, and then we have alternative suggestions. We can change them, but I'd love to see us act on getting the pages that are way stale into some form like this. And I think, and the reason it's going to be some work, but if you actually take time to putting a vision statement on, even just a vision statement on each of the category pages, I think that's going to enlighten us. Should we actually keep this category around? Should we think about something else? I think that's a really good exercise as we go into a new financial year.
Agreed.
Fair?
Yeah.
yeah,
And maybe just for like the stale ones, like I don't know how we should mark it, but it might be worth like, yeah, not actively working on this category for this reason, and kind of, so it doesn't look stale. It's just like, yeah, we're consciously marking it that way, right? Something like that.
I think I have that already on a lot of my categories.
Okay.
So yeah. Kevin, I'm looking forward to seeing that issue to see what specific pages you, because I'm in like because of Project Argus and because of
yeah some of the categories you don't have to worry about.
okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that issue, so I know what categories I should pay attention to.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
So one last question before we break. Like, I've heard people ask this question before. Who are we writing for at the end of the day?
I've heard this question many times, and what my answer here is that it's primarily for GitLab team members and secondarily for users.
So given that, it makes it seem like it's fair to state internal goals or things that are more perhaps like external users could care less about. Is that fair? So an example of that may be we are working on to figure out how to get our internal teams to dog food this issue. Like in general, I don't think external people care that much, but maybe that's not true.
I think that it's more about the content that we add under strategy vision, the detail we put there, the language we use, that's already defined, that reflects the target user.
Yeah.
I think that would be an appropriate thing to include. I wouldn't see any reason to not include that, I guess.
Yeah.
To me, it sounds something similar to like, we want to make this maturity, this category, like this maturity level. I mean, I think that goal makes sense.
Awesome. Well, thank you all. This is the fun discussion today. I just realized as I'm saying this, I totally did not post the previous one, so I'm gonna post this one and the previous one right now because I don't have anything for a little bit. Thanks so much. Talk to you all later.
Thank you. Good to see everyone.